The cat is finally out of the bag. In India, Prime Minister Modi's government has proposed to scrap Indian Constitution's Article 370. Indian Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah, who is also president of the ruling party, Bharatiya Janata Party, and is also Prime Minister Modi's very close associate, he met with Indian Prime Minister Modi in the morning today, and after that he appeared in Rajya Sabha, and on the floor of the house he announced government's decision to propose abolishing of Article 370. For starters, Article 370 of Indian Constitution separates Indian held Kashmir from the rest of India by granting special and autonomous status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Because of this particular article in place, all the provisions of the Constitution which are applicable to all other states of India are not applicable to Indian held Jammu and Kashmir. This makes it important for Kashmiris not only in terms of administrative aspects, but also provides them the constitutional basis for their distinct identity. Although in Indian held Kashmir, not all the people want accession with Pakistan or even with India, there is a growing number of people who want independent status for Kashmir from both the neighboring countries. Despite this diversity on the question of accession or secession, on one thing all Kashmiris seem to be united, which is let Kashmiris live in peace. Let them have their rights. Let them have their independence. They are proud and resilient people, but they want peaceful lives of dignity, prosperity, and security. In past, Article 370 of Indian Constitution has also been criticized by as eminent personalities as Maulana Hasrat Mohani and B.R. Ambedkar himself, who was the author of Indian Constitution, and reportedly he refused to draft this particular amendment. The criticism on this amendment has mainly been because strong Indian nationalists they wanted Kashmir to be unquestioned part of India. But Kashmiri leadership has been very sensitive about this constitutional provision because it allowed them have their distinct identity, separate from the rest of India. A few years ago, former Chief Minister of Indian held Jammu and Kashmir, Mr. Umar Abdullah, had said that if Article 370 was abolished, then it will revive the issue of Jammu and Kashmir's accession to India. Right now, we can't say it has been abolished already because constitutional amendments would require 2/3 majority of the parliament to pass or reject it. In Lok Sabha, the ruling BJP has an overwhelming majority. It has its electoral alliance on NDA. It has 353 seats out of total of 544 seats in 45 seats in Lok Sabha, and in Rajya Sabha total seats are 245, and BJP's alliance NDA, it has secured 116 seats. Now put together this number around 790 total number. And BJP's number out of it is slightly over 400. This is still less than the required 2/3 majority, which is at least like 64% of the total seats. Whatever happens in India in coming days and how the Kashmiri leadership and people respond to this, it remains to be seen. But Mr. Modi's government has certainly anticipated wide-ranging protests from not only Kashmiris but from every sensible Indian who believes in human rights of Kashmiris and demands responsible behavior from their state to ensure the safeguard of the human rights. Since last 2 days, Indian held Kashmir has been almost in a state of curfew. People are not allowed to go to work. People are restricted to their homes. Even Amarnath Yatra, which is one of the most celebrated Hindu pilgrimage to a very old and big temple in Kashmir, the Amarnath temple, it attracts thousands of people from all over India every year. It was abruptly cancelled by the government. This has not happened since the 1990s, when during the times of extreme turmoil and bloodshed, the yatra was only briefly suspended. Indian government first claimed that it has got credible intelligence that a terrorist attack was imminent, and this was announced by no less but Corps Commander of the Kashmir region. It then claimed that its security forces had killed X number of terrorists infiltrated from Pakistan. It then imposed curfew-like restrictions on Kashmiris. What followed was an absolute chaos and confusion in the fateful state of Jammu and Kashmir. People were restricted to homes. Even the two former chief ministers, Umar Abdullah and Ms. Mehbooba Mufti, alongside dozens of other prominent political figures, were put in house arrest without giving any reason. It was not all. This all started with sudden heating up of LOC situation by ceasefire violations. Ceasefire violations, as you know, have become a disturbing routine on LOC. But this time it was different and quite shocking, because as per reports, India fired cluster bombs on civilian population across LOC on the side of Pakistan-administered Kashmir. As you know, cluster bombs have been, ever since Geneva Convention, they have been banned to be used, even in the wartime, but during the peacetime, this is unthinkable. And any government that does it should face consequences. This is very, very unfortunate situation and speaks volumes about how United Nations observers have been made irrelevant with the passage of time. It also depicts how LOC violations are used for domestic political agendas with total disregard to people's lives, their property, environment, their human rights. United Nations needs to take notice of this situation immediately and do anything possible to reactivate the observers mission on LOC. Both countries need to immediately put a stop on ceasefire violations, and government of Pakistan must immediately take up the Indian government's decision to abolish Article 370 with the United Nations. High time that the global powers watch what is happening in Kashmir. I call upon not only Indian liberal sections of society but also the global civil society to support Kashmiris for restoration of their human rights. Say in unison, Kashmiri lives matter.